This is the automatic stake pointer control box. This is the on-off key switch for the pointer. You need to have this in the off position before doing any type of maintenance on the machine. Here's the pointer head start stop. You're gonna pull to start it and push to stop. Now you'll want to start the head before the hydraulic unit so that way the head is up to full speed before the carriage cycles. This is a start stop for the hydraulic unit. Same as the pointer head, you're going to pull it to start it and push to stop. This is the carriage manual auto switch. In automatic, the carriage will cycle when the limit switch on the rack is triggered. This is the carriage off, in or out switch. This switch will only work when the carriage auto manual switch is in manual. This is the drum rotation on off switch. By switching this to off, you will relieve the hydraulic pressure on the rotation. This will allow you to be able to reverse the drum. Here's the drum reverse button in case a stake were to jam. The drum has to be in the off position for this button to function. This is the pointer head cleanout button. Now this is a two-stage button. If you push it halfway down, the plunger will operate. Try to remove any broken point. If you push it down the entire way, it'll give it a shot of air on the end to try to blow that broken point out. These are the two flow controls for the carriage in and out cylinder. The back one regulates the speed on the way out, and the front one regulates the speed of the carriage traveling into the head. This is the flow control for the drum rotation speed. Clockwise will make the drum rotate slower, counterclockwise will make it rotate faster. The top arrow is pointing to a quarter turn valve for the elevator. That can be used to turn the elevator on or off. This flow control is located underneath the elevator, right on the elevator motor. Again, you're going to turn that clockwise for slower and counterclockwise to speed the elevator up. Here we have the air valve to actuate the plunger cylinder, along with the valve that allows the blast of air to help blow out the broken point of the head. These are the flow controls that regulate the plunger speed in and out. The flow control closest to the rod clevis regulates how fast the plunger travels inward to reject the point. The one farthest from the rod clevis regulates the speed traveling on the way back. You want to have the one traveling on the way back a little bit slower than the plunger going inward. One of the first things you want to do when setting up a different stake size is adjusting the hold down tube about a quarter to a 3/8 inch above the stakes that you're trying to run. This allows enough room for the stake to slide down and still lets the hold down spring have enough tension when the stake rolls into the pocket of the clamp. In order to adjust that hold down tube, you need to loosen these two bolts that the arrows are pointing to, along with these two bolts that the two bottom arrows are pointing to, and at that point the hold down tube should be loose. Then you'll use the threaded T-handle bolt at the top of the screen to adjust it up or down, then go back and tighten all four bolts back up. The next thing you're going to want to do is loosen these two bolts to adjust your rack. After the two bolts are loosened, you're going to use these two T-bolts to adjust the rack into the correct position. The other thing you can do is move the rack endways closer or further away from the head. This will allow you to put more of a point on the stake or less of a point. The rack should be adjusted so that when the stake is all the way down on the rack, the pickup wheel will come around and hits the top 1/8 inch of the stake. This will allow the stake to rotate a quarter turn into the clamp. Notice the hole in the center of the clamp. A 2072 model will have 2 holes because of the wider clamp. The hole is for a spacer piece that gets bolted in with a 3/8/16 countersink bolt. The only time you'll ever need these spacers is when you're running rectangular stakes. Each spacer is a 1/4 inch thick. So for example, let's say you're trying to run a 2x1 stake, you would take the difference, 2 inch minus 1 inch, and divide that by 2. You'd get a 1/2 inch. So you'll need 2 spacers to make the clamp the stake closer to center. Again, these spacers are only used when you're running rectangles. Now that you have the hold down tube and the rack set, you could cycle a stake into the pocket manually. This will make it much easier while you're trying to center the head on the stake. To center the head, the first thing you want to do is take a 15/16 wrench or socket and loosen the bolt right behind the plunger box. The second thing you want to do is loosen this nut. This nut is up by the threaded rod on the front side of the plunger box. At that point, you can use the eccentric handle to adjust the head. Because the handle is eccentric, the head will move back as it moves up. To finish fine-tuning, you'll need to use the threaded rod to make minor up and down adjustments. After you have the head where you want it, just tighten the bolts back up and you should be ready to run.